Ilhan Omar, Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, how they all intertwine and relate, and how they're all being used to take away your freedom and your ability to flow about this world. Let's start with R. Kelly and Michael Jackson. Actually, let's just start with Michael Jackson, because I'm going to have to take it segment by segment, and people are going to get triggered. They don't know how to hear this. It's like liberals, when you try to talk about women and children. No, you're against the women and children and people of color that I pretend to like? No. I'm not at all. You're using them as a scapegoat, you're lying, and then when I say your ideology and your psychology doesn't actually add up to reality, they say, you're attacking the women and children. That's what they do. They're doing the same thing with free speech in America. So Michael Jackson, let's start with the new documentary. First of all, he's dead, which sucks because he's not even alive to fight for his own legacy. It's like when he was alive, he was celebrated. Towards the end of his life, he was looked down upon. And, towards the end of his life also, he was going really hard against the record labels. Let's not forget, there's a big clip of him saying, guys, I outsmarted, this is Michael Jackson saying this, I outsmarted my record label. He's like, they thought they had me, but all I have to do is make one more album, one more CD, and then I'm a free agent. And he just happened to have died within a year later. I'm not saying they killed him. I'm not saying that they didn't kill him. I have no idea what happened. Maybe it was his doctor. Maybe it was the pills. But let's just talk about his full legacy that no one's going to talk about. It seemed like he had outsmarted the record labels, and I'm not sure that that's something they want an old artist like Michael Jackson to do. Also, I want to say Michael Jackson owned a lot of Beatles, I believe the masters, which is the royalties and the ownership of the records. I'm not quite sure, but he owned the Beatles category or catalog in many ways. And he died and they bought him back. That's what Dick Gregory said before he died as well, but he was older. Anyway, point being, there's a lot of stuff interesting around Michael Jackson's legacy, and also the fact that there's people, I believe Corey Feldman has stepped up and said, Michael Jackson was a good friend. He was one of the only people not raping everybody. His cousin or his nephew is alive saying, listen, Michael was under heavy scrutiny. Michael was investigated by the FBI. They raided his house and found legal adult pornography. They didn't find any child pornography, which is a little bit more than a lot of other people. They've raided other people's houses, including the Vegas shooter's brother, I believe, and a lot of other high-profile people who have literally been found with full-on child pornography at their houses. You never hear a media story about that because a lot of these stories, guys, they're not pushed to the masses to actually solve the problem. They're pushed to the masses to take away your freedoms, your personal liberties, and kind of cast the illusion that they're solving the problem. So if they really cared about child pornography and child sex and human trafficking and stuff, there's multiple things going on. There's hundreds of people being arrested. There's high-profile Democrats and probably even high-profile right-wingers who have got caught guilty of this stuff to the caliber of 10, 20, 30 times as bad as anything that they've even accused other people of doing. These stories never get the light of the day, and this is why the media is so powerful. They control what you hear, what you care about. They can make it R. Kelly. They can make it Michael Jackson. They can make it Harvey Weinstein. They can make it top politicians. They can make it Donald Trump. They can make it Ariana Grande. They can make it about the opioid crisis that's killing a lot of people. They can make it about the suicide crisis. They could talk about the human trafficking at the border. They could talk about they're just a bunch of innocent victims at the border. They control everything. They control our whole society. This is why I'm so disillusioned with the rap community, because they've turned into zombies and media slaves, where it's just like, that's the story we're going to laugh about for a year, just like with Tekashi 6ix9ine. And I'm going to get into it in a second. Tekashi 6ix9ine, he was a tatted up, I believe, Hispanic kid who's in jail now, all tatted up, had rainbow hair, was crushing the rap game, was very interesting. Whether you loved or hated his music, he was an interesting guy. All the media did was milk him, 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 milk it for clicks, milk it for clicks, milk it for clips, milk it for clicks, and then he gets sent to jail. And what do they do when he's in jail? They milk him for clicks, they milk him for clicks, they milk him for clicks, they milk him for clips. Even when he's in jail, they're ruining his life. And I'm not saying that you don't have to. I'm not saying you can't critique or question Michael Jackson or Tekashi 6ix9ine. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you have to like him. I'm not saying you have to believe him. But understand this is how the media operates. They just use people and they suck all your blood out, basically metaphorically, and in some cases probably literally, and then they throw you to the curb for the next entertainer. It's a slave, vampire industry. It's just like, we got you, F him. Oh, Mike wants to buy out his own rights? F him. Like, and I'm not saying that's what it's all about. Now moving on to what happened. I'm just giving you the other side of the story. A lot of people don't believe it. A lot of people do believe it. There's a chance that Michael Jackson was abused, and it's definite that Michael Jackson was abused as a kid. He was abused. So there's a chance that he was abusing other people and other kids. If that's the truth, that's not okay. I'm not justifying it. It's not right. It's totally wrong. It should be investigated. It should be researched. I just don't like the way it's going about, where it's like, he did this, there's 2 accusations, it's done for, it's for sure. Although there's hundreds of accusations from other people, and someone made a joke, they said, why wasn't Michael Jackson friends with any ugly kids or something? And he was. One of his best friends was Dave. Very interesting interview, to say the least. Look up a Dave interview. He was friends with kids who had burn victims, who literally couldn't even, he wasn't just... He hung out with a lot of people. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's definitely weird. Maybe he loved kids and wanted to help them. Maybe he was missing his childhood and he wanted to protect the kids from other pedophiles. Maybe he was a pedophile. I have no idea. I haven't researched it enough. I'm not saying you have to think one way. But what I am saying is, now look how they're using this story, and now look what they're doing. Michael Jackson pulled off the radio station. Michael Jackson pulled off of Simpsons. Michael Jackson not allowed on Spotify, soon to be. They're deplatforming him after death. They're deplatforming someone completely off of allegations, whether you believe them, whether you don't, whether you think they're true or whether you're not. They're setting the precedent of anti-free speech through Michael Jackson. Someone said, I knew Dave. He died in August. Yeah, God bless Dave. I mean, I'm sure he was a great guy. That's a very interesting interview. I'm not going to say more. But anyway, they're using it to deplatform. So now the Simpsons doesn't have free speech. The Simpsons have made fun of everything. There's nothing that South Park and the Simpsons haven't made fun of. They're free to talk about anything. You could talk about Michael in a good light. You could talk about Michael in a bad light. You could talk, that's what the Simpsons and South Park are. Now the precedent they're setting is radio station deplatforming, soon to be streaming deplatforming, soon to be total banning from anywhere, soon to be already cartoon. So with the Michael Jackson story, it's used to deplatform somebody completely, to crush and destroy their legacy off of allegations with no ability to fight back in any way, or at least tell your side of the story. And whether it did happen or didn't, let's see what you guys say in the comment section, see if you know more than me about it. I don't know. I haven't done enough research. I'm not saying it was one way or the other, although my gut tells me that I don't think he was a bad person. I don't think he was playing with children in that way. Although I will say he did have a very damaged childhood. So if that did happen, it's awful, it's horrible, it's not justified. It's a possibility. I don't know enough. I didn't know Michael. I literally don't know anyone in his family. So I'm just saying it is being used to deplatform him completely and crush his legacy, regardless of what he did, hold him accountable, figure out the law, but to take the greatest entertainer of all time, one of the greatest singers, dancers, songwriters, who has songs that we need to hear, which is change starts in the mirror, change with yourself. They're going to ban it from existence while they're pushing through evil murderer music. So you're not going to be able to listen to Michael Jackson say, start with the man in the mirror. But you're going to be able to listen to Lil Murderer say, I be taking pills, make your girl pills. Your kid died on pills, your daughter died on pills, your son died on pills, all the kids on pills. All I do is murder, all I do is kill. Yeah, it's such a thrill. They're going to allow that on the radio, but they're not going to allow the man in the mirror, guys. It's all a setup. It's all a lie. And this whole documentary weaponization,